What if the crowd became the story, not the golf? What if one of the most respected tournaments in sports, the Ryder Cup, turned into something even its legends couldn't recognize? Because in 2025, at Bethpage Black in New York, golf didn't just lose a match.
What's your opinion of the golf? Let's start with the golf first up. Scott, on that.
Europe was amazing. They're better at this than the United States, and they've demonstrated that for this entire century, if you will.
It lost its manners. What started as another high-stakes clash between Team USA and Team Europe ended with booze, beer cans, and public apologies from the PGA itself. And when legends like Tom Watson and Jack Nicklaus start using words like ashamed and disgrace, you know something has gone seriously wrong. But behind the headlines, there's more. A story of chaos versus composure, noise versus poise, and how one man's silence spoke louder than an entire stadium.
And, you know, these guys have all the money in the world. They're making so much money, every one of them, that it's not about money anymore. And we felt we were really given a strategic gift by the American team pursuing, you know, the 200 grand stipend.
Let's break down how golf's proudest event turned into its biggest reality check. Bethpage Black. Home turf. The fortress America believed would finally break Europe's dominance. Fans were calling it the Redemption Cup. The crowd was hyped. The chants were deafening before a single tee shot was hit. Team USA had home advantage, world #1 Scottie Scheffler, and a captain in Keegan Bradley determined to prove himself after the controversial captain's picks. On paper, the stars were aligned, but what no one predicted was that the atmosphere, that supposed home advantage, would become the very thing that shattered them. By the end of day one, it was clear. This wasn't just golf anymore. It was chaos in khakis. It started small, a few heckles, a few chants. But by day two, it crossed the line. Rory McIlroy's wife was reportedly hit by a thrown beer cup. European players were booed between shots. Even their families couldn't escape the hostility.
Comments about his family, comments about Shane Lowry's weight.
You ain't moving! I think one of the biggest mistakes that, the American Ryder Cup team always seems to make, or the PGA of America, is they go to courses that we're not familiar with.
Now it didn't sound like a golf audience. It sounded like a football stadium. And when one American MC was caught leading vulgar chants over the loudspeakers, even the players looked uncomfortable. Tom Watson, a legend who's captained America and shaped decades of golf's dignity, finally snapped. He didn't sugarcoat it. The PGA of America quickly followed, issuing rare public apologies to McIlroy, his family, and several European players. That's like the Vatican apologizing for bad prayer etiquette. Unheard of. But while America was losing control, something very different was happening on the other side. While New York screamed, Europe stayed silent. Their secret weapon, Captain Luke Donald. No shouting, no theatrics, just chess moves disguised as golf pairings. He wasn't chasing headlines or analytics charts. He was building chemistry. Paul McGinley, one of Europe's most respected former captains, called Donald's leadership a masterclass in calm. No drama, no ego, just discipline. His philosophy was simple. Method beats mania. While American players argued over pairings and energy levels, Donald's team prayed, plotted, and trusted each other. It was golf's version of Zen warfare. Even Sky Sports commentator Ewan Murray said Donald's composure was surgical. In a sea of noise, he was the still point, and that stillness worked. Europe didn't just win, they neutralized the storm. Every American roar was met with quiet precision, every heckle answered by a birdie, but not everyone on the U.S. side lost their fire. Enter Bryson DeChambeau, the chaos scientist of golf. Love him or hate him, Bryson brings drama wherever he goes. On Sunday, he was 5 down through 7 holes against Matt Fitzpatrick. Most players would have folded. Bryson didn't. He flipped the script, hammering drives, pumping up the crowd, and clawing back hole after hole until the match ended in a stunning tie. It didn't change the final result, but for about an hour, Bethpage Black felt alive again. Commentators called it match play theater. Old pros said it reminded them of the miracle at Medina in 2012, a flash of pure belief in a tournament drowning in negativity. But Europe didn't panic. They absorbed the surge and kept their cool. Donald's team didn't fight fire with fire. They smothered it with calm. In that moment, you could feel the contrast. One side ran on adrenaline, the other ran on discipline. But the biggest shock of all came from the one man everyone expected to be unshakable. World number one, Scottie Scheffler. Scheffler wasn't just off his game. He looked haunted. Missed putts, tense body language, awkward pairings. Commentators whispered that he seemed lonely on the course. And it wasn't hard to see why. The chemistry between teammates felt off. Analysts blamed Keegan Bradley's data-driven pairings, which looked smart on paper, but ignored human rhythm. While Europe felt like a family, the US looked like a group project where no one knew each other's names. Even legends like Paul Azinger called it out. The Ryder Cup isn't about talent. It's about temperament. And Scheffler's temperament cracked under pressure.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that, the American Ryder Cup team always seems to make, or the PGA of America, is they go to courses that we're not familiar with.
Kiowa, same way. But for people that know, like, Kiowa is a legendary resort now. It wasn't even on the map, Paul.
When the final putt dropped and Europe hoisted the trophy again, the silence that followed wasn't about losing. It was about what the game had turned into. Legends like Watson, Nicklaus, and Faldo didn't just talk about golf. They talked about values. They warned that if golf doesn't enforce respect, it risks losing its soul. Some even demanded rule changes, real authority for referees to eject abusive fans, clear boundaries for family protection, and new standards for player withdrawals to prevent confusion and pressure. Bethpage, they said, exposed a system where passion turned toxic, where fans forgot that golf isn't a contact sport, it's a contract between respect and competition. Jack Nicklaus even reminded reporters how, back in his day, one stern look from a legend could silence an entire gallery. Now, that authority is gone, and they fear it may never come back. What happened at Bethpage wasn't just a bad weekend, it was a wake-up call. The 2025 Ryder Cup will be remembered for more than Europe's victory. It'll be remembered as the weekend golf faced a choice: evolve or erode. Because if the sport built on silence and honor turns into just another shouting match, what's left of its identity? Luke Donald proved that composure still wins. Keegan Bradley proved that passion without discipline burns itself out. And the legends, those old guardians of the game, reminded everyone that etiquette isn't a luxury, it's the foundation. Tom Watson summed it up best: this isn't about noise, it's about respect. If golf remembers that, Bethpage might go down as the spark that restored its spirit. If not, it'll be the year the world's most elegant rivalry traded grace for spectacle. Europe won the trophy. But the real victory? That belongs to the conversation that followed. The apology from the PGA, the outcry from legends, and the humility from players. All of it showed one thing: golf still cares about what it stands for. Passion isn't the problem, memory is. Because once a sport forgets its etiquette, no trophy will ever shine bright enough. So what do you think? Did the Ryder Cup go too far this year? Or is this just golf evolving with the times?